everyone, this is Lindsay Marquez. Today I'll be going over author and the parenthetical citation. This is a documentation mission, so contained in this video there will be an example from my essay where I've included the author in the citation. We go over quite a few examples of when the author goes in the parenthetical citation and what the general protocol for that is. So let's get started. First we have what is a parenthetical or a parenthetical citation, and all that it is it's a parenthetical citation is used to tell the reader when you have used information that's not your own. So perhaps you have integrated your source through a paraphrase or through a direct quote, and you want to tell the reader that that is not your quote, you did not make it up, and it is derived from another source. Another thing is the parenthetical citation. An author in this citation should correspond to your works cited page at the end of your paper. So if you have an author in the parenthetical and that author does not show up on your works cited page, you're going to run into some problems. I want you to keep in mind throughout this video that there are many different ways in which parenthetical citations should be formatted, how the author should be placed, and how the page numbers should be placed along with commas and periods. Now, when does the author need placed in the parenthetical? So the author needs placed if there are no signal phrase or indicator who the work being referred to is written by. So if there was a quote with no author earlier in the sentence, in the parenthetical citation there needs to be the name of the author so that if the reader wants to go to your works cited and read their article or their book, they can do so, and it gives the author proper credit for their ideas. There are also many other reasons why the author needs placed. I would like you to keep an open mind to that. These are not the only reasons or the only ways the author should be placed in. I do not go over how to cite the Bible and other things like that. In this video, I will cover 9 instances where the author is placed in the parenthetical citation. There are many more, so don't stay closed-minded about this. These are the most common ones that you may run into. So, the styles I will be going over in this video are if the signal phrase does not contain the author's name, which is probably the most common ones you'll see in educational writing. If you're citing an entire work, such as an entire book. If the source does not have an author, that's also a tricky one. If the author is a corporation, there are 3 or less authors, 3 or more authors, authors that have the same last name, or multiple works by the same author, along with using an analogy. So this is going to be a more lengthy video than some of my other ones, so hang in there. It's very informative. There are a lot of styles, so I wanted to include a wide variety. The first one we're going to go over is signal phrases not containing an author. Now when your signal phrase does not contain an author, you'll need to put the author's name and page number in the parentheses after your quote or paraphrase. And this is so there's not a random number sitting along that integrated source, so your reader knows who the source came from and who the author was. Do not separate the page number and the last name with a comma. This is a very common mistake. Do not do it. The period goes outside of the citation. This is another concept that we'll be running into again and again throughout this video. And now an example of a signal phrase not containing an author citation would look like this. This was from a book. We have the full name of the author and the page number. See, the period is outside and they are not separated by a comma. Let's move on to the next one. The next one is citing an entire work in the text. The author's name is the only thing placed in the citation for an entire work because there's no specific page number to which you're referring to. You're referring to the whole work. A citation is followed by a period outside of the parentheses like we saw on the last slide. Now an example of this would look like this. Parentheses with the author's name inside of it and then the period to follow. Now a source without an author is a little trickier. You need to place a shortened form of the title in the citation, and the shortened title should be enclosed in quotation marks followed by a page number. And An example down here, there are quotation marks along the title and the page number with a period at the end. Now, if the author is a corporation, the corporate name is written followed by the page number. When the corporation name is too lengthy, you can abbreviate common terms. This does not happen very often, but sometimes it does, and you don't want a 10-word corporation name in a parenthetical citation. An example of this is the American Medical Association, and then the page number. This one is being cited pages 12 through 43, and as you see, the period is outside of the parentheses. Now, if the work has many authors, you list them by last name in the citation. An example of this would be Conrad, McKinney, Flake. And now the period would be outside of those parentheses. Notice that there are no first names. These are all last names. You see this a lot throughout the list, and you'll see more examples coming for future slides. Now, if the piece has more than 3 authors, you're going to list the first author and then place ETAL period. And this abbreviation simply means others. After the period at ETAL, you're going to place, well, before that you'll place a period and then add the page number along with the parentheses. An example of this would be Flake, ETAL period, then the page number, which is 234, the parentheses, and then the period following. Now, what if the authors have the same last name? You're going to use the first initial in the parenthetical citation and follow it with a page number. So, an example of this would have the first initial, a period, last name, and then the first initial again, period, last name, both in parentheses with a period to follow. Now, multiple works by the same author, you put the author's name and a comma, followed by a short title of the piece, page number, and a period outside of the parentheticals. Now, what this will look like is this. So, our author is Smith. He wrote the certain source of biodiverse farms. There is no comma, just the page number to follow. That's all inside the parentheses with a period following. Now, when using an anthology, if the author's not in the signal phrase, the author's name goes in the citation with the page number followed by a period. I will make a big note, it is better to use the author's name in the signal phrase to provide clarity to your reader. However, if you do not, this is how you will use an in-text citation. An example of this would be the last name of the author, and then the pages in which you used, all in parentheses, followed by a period. Here's an example from my essay that I used. As you can see down here, there is a signal phrase, a direct quote, and then the author's last name, ETAL, the page number, and then a period outside of it. Just by looking at this citation, you could see that it is a source with more than 3 authors. That's why the citation is formatted in such a way. So, to sum up this video, a parenthetical citation is a way to tell the reader that the information is not an original thought and that it was derived from another resource. The parenthetical citation needs to correspond to the works cited page. This is especially important as far as the author's name or the article name. There are many instances where the author needs to be placed in the parenthetical citation. These 9 examples are not all of them. I'm sure there are a few more hidden out there in the writing world.